Okay, let's unpack this. $37 billion.
Wow.
That's the jaw-dropping estimate of how much poor communication costs businesses. And for large companies, get this, an average annual hit of like over 62 million
That's
bucks.
huge.
Suddenly, being clear in that email feels a whole lot more important, doesn't it?
It really does.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we sift through the information so you don't have to. Today, we're plunging into the core elements of effective communication, all drawn from a really insightful audio resource we looked at.
What's fascinating about that enormous financial figure is it immediately reframes communication. It's not just about, politeness or getting along.
Right.
It's a fundamental economic driver. I mean, think about the projects derailed, the deals lost, simply because of miscommunication.
Exactly. So our mission for you today is to pull out the truly actionable insights on how to connect with others, whether you're trying to get your point across in a meeting, smooth things over with a friend, or just write a cleaner email. We're going to look at everything from the words we choose to the signals we send without even saying a thing, and, well, even how we structure our written thoughts. No dry textbook stuff here, just the crucial takeaways that can make a real difference.
And if we connect this to your daily life, I mean, just consider how many misunderstandings, big or small, could probably be avoided with slightly sharper communication skills. It impacts everything, really, from your productivity at work to, the quality of your personal relationships.
So let's get down to brass tacks then. What actually is effective communication?
Well, at its heart, it's really about exchanging information with clarity, empathy, and genuine understanding.
Oh.
Ultimately, it's about achieving the sender's intended outcome. It's a dynamic two-way process, involving not just speaking or writing, but also actively listening or reading and then truly grasping the message being conveyed.
Right. And our source really breaks down some of the essential ingredients. We're talking about clarity, obviously making sure your message isn't just a confusing jumble.
Yeah, clarity is key.
Then there's correctness, making sure your facts are, accurate.
Yep.
Completeness is vital, giving people all the necessary info they need. Conciseness is important, respecting everyone's time by getting straight to the point. And this one really resonated with me. Compassion, always considering the other person's perspective.
It raises an interesting point, actually. How often do we actively think about all 5 of those elements before we communicate? It's almost like a mental checklist.
That's a good point.
And the compassion aspect really highlights that communication isn't just about transmitting data. It's about that human-to-human connection.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine the difference in receiving feedback framed with understanding versus just blunt criticism.
Absolutely. And it really underscores this fundamental truth. Humans just can't read minds.
Nope.
If you have a need, a feeling, an idea, you've got to communicate it directly.
Yeah.
Hoping someone will just, intuitively understand often leads to frustration on both sides.
Precisely. And building on this foundation, the resource introduces what it calls the 3 pillars of communication: ethos, pathos, and logos.
Okay, let's unpack these. Ethos, that's about ethics, right?
Yeah.
It's about how believable the speaker is, whether the audience trusts what they're hearing.
Exactly. It's about establishing your credibility and inspiring confidence in your message.
Got it.
Then there's pathos, which is all about empathy. But it's more than just feeling sorry for someone. It's actively trying to step into their shoes and understand their emotional state.
Ah, okay.
Think about how a leader acknowledging their team's stress during a tough period builds rapport. That's pathos.
Empathy, that's so crucial, isn't it? Really trying to see the world through their eyes.
Absolutely vital. And finally, logos, which is, logic.
Logic, okay.
It's the strength and clarity of your reasoning, how well you structure and articulate your ideas. It sort of demonstrates your conviction in what you're saying.
So for communication to truly hit home, you need to be seen as credible, connect emotionally, and make logical sense.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense, really.
Yeah, it covers all the bases.
Now, why should we invest the effort into becoming better communicators? I mean, what are the tangible benefits?
Oh, the advantages are profound. First and foremost, strong communication builds trust.
Trust, okay.
When you actively listen, show you're open to different viewpoints, and when leaders communicate transparently, it sets a powerful precedent. It makes people feel secure and valued.
Trust is the cornerstone of any healthy relationship, isn't it? Whether it's with colleagues, clients, or, family.
Totally.
What else does good communication unlock?
It's absolutely key in conflict resolution.
Oh, yeah.
Staying composed, truly hearing the other person's perspective, and collaboratively seeking mutually acceptable solutions, These are all direct results of honed communication skills. It allows you to navigate tense situations and find constructive outcomes.
It's about kind of nipping disagreements in the bud before they escalate, maybe.
Exactly. It also provides much-needed clarity and direction.
Clarity, yeah.
Clear expectations, constructive feedback, and well-defined roles all stem from effective communication. This minimizes ambiguity and ensures everyone knows what's expected of them. Think about the wasted time and resources caused by unclear instructions.
Oh, the hours lost.
Yeah.
Less wasted effort, more getting things done. I'm on board with that.
And it fosters stronger relationships across the board.
Right.
By actively listening, considering others' viewpoints, and responding thoughtfully, we forge deeper connections with those around us. This has a ripple effect in all areas of life.
Connection, it's what we all crave, isn't it, deep down?
Precisely. And in the workplace, strong communication dramatically boosts engagement.
Engagement, okay.
When employees feel heard, understood, and kept in the loop, they're more confident, perform at a higher level, and are generally more content in their roles. The resource even cited a concerning statistic. Only about 15% of employees report feeling truly engaged.
15%. Wow, that really puts things in perspective.
It does. Effective communication is a powerful lever to change that.
So being a good communicator isn't just about being agreeable, it's about driving success.
Exactly. It directly impacts productivity.
How so?
By ensuring everyone understands their responsibilities, reducing misunderstandings that lead to errors and rework, and ultimately freeing up time for more important tasks.
Oh, the hours lost in clarifying unclear instructions. I can definitely relate to that one.
We all can, I think.
And finally,
It strengthens team building.
team building, right?
When team members communicate openly and effectively, they can rely on each other, fostering positive feelings and boosting overall morale. It cultivates a sense of shared purpose and unity.
Absolutely. When individuals feel their contributions are valued and their voices are heard, it creates a much more positive and collaborative team environment.
Exactly.
So the why of good communication is pretty compelling. But what often throws a wrench in the works? What are some of the common barriers we face?
Yeah, there are several significant hurdles. Let's maybe start with language barriers. And this isn't just about different native languages. It also encompasses regional dialects, accents, and even variations in vocabulary within the same language.
Uh-huh.
Think about the confusion that can arise from industry-specific jargon or, vague instructions like synergize our efforts.
Oh, the dreaded corporate buzzwords. It can feel like you need a secret decoder ring sometimes.
Exactly. The key is to strive for clear, concise language, avoiding overly technical terms, slang, and abstract phrases. Using visual aids can often bridge these gaps.
That's smart.
And like you mentioned earlier, tools like Grammarly Business can help ensure written clarity, too.
Good practical advice.
Yeah.
What's next on the list of obstacles?
Cultural barriers. This is a big one.
Okay.
Communication norms and values differ significantly across cultures. Assuming that everyone shares your communication style or interprets things the same way, a tendency known as ethnocentrism,
Right, ethnocentrism.
can lead to misunderstandings and even unintentional offense. For example, in some cultures, direct eye contact is a sign of respect, while in others, it might be seen as confrontational.
That's a really important point. What's considered polite in one culture might be interpreted very differently in another.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So raising awareness, educating yourself about different cultural communication styles, maybe even providing cross-cultural sensitivity training within teams can be incredibly beneficial. Establishing clear, adaptable workplace etiquette is also essential in diverse environments.
So it's about continuous learning and being adaptable in our approach, not just sticking to what we know.
Absolutely. And we encounter physical barriers.
Physical, like
Yeah.
distance.
Yeah, exactly. With the increasing prevalence of remote work, geographical distance can present challenges. Distractions in the home office, unreliable technology, and even something like consistent tardiness in virtual meetings, which might signal underlying issues, all fall into this category.
The joys of trying to concentrate on a video call with kids needing help with homework in the background. I know that one.
Indeed. Solutions involve investing in reliable telecommunication technologies, creating dedicated and comfortable workspaces free from distractions, and maybe even thoughtfully planning meeting schedules to accommodate different time zones.
Setting up the right conditions for communication really makes a difference. It's not just about the words.
It does. Next up are psychological barriers.
Psychological. Okay, what does that cover?
Things like unresolved conflicts, fundamentally different communication styles among team members, a lack of trust within a group.
Trust again.
Yeah, and feelings of being unheard or unsupported. These can all severely hinder effective communication. A noticeable lack of feedback, maybe increased absenteeism or vacation requests, a decline in collaborative efforts. These can be indicators of these underlying issues.
So it's about the emotional and relational dynamics at play within the team or group.
Exactly. Fostering a culture of trust and psychological safety through open and honest communication channels, team-building activities, providing resources for conflict resolution are all crucial.
Makes sense.
Anti-harassment and inclusivity training also play a vital role in creating that supportive environment.
Addressing those deeper interpersonal issues is key to unlocking better communication. What about technology itself? Can that sometimes be a barrier?
Absolutely. Technological barriers, they can stem from a lack of adequate training on new communication platforms,
Right.
reliance on outdated hardware or software, or simply the misuse of available technology. Frequent technical glitches or consistently slow performance of communication platforms are often red flags.
We've all experienced the frustration of a video conference freezing at a crucial moment.
Indeed. The solutions often involve investing in reliable upgrades, providing comprehensive training on new systems, and establishing clear guidelines for when and how to use different communication tools effectively.
Got it.
Ensuring compatibility between different systems is also essential.
Making sure the tools actually help communication, not hinder it. And the final barrier you mentioned,
Organizational barriers.
organizational,
Yep.
like the company structure.
Exactly. These arise when the very structure or policies of an organization impede the smooth flow of information. This can manifest as unclear reporting structures, a lack of transparency regarding information sharing, or the existence of communication silos where different departments or teams operate in isolation.
Ah, silos. Yeah.
Regularly finding yourself contacting the wrong person for information or experiencing significant delays in receiving critical updates are telltale signs.
Bureaucracy can definitely create communication bottlenecks, can't it?
Absolutely. Establishing a clear organizational chart with well-defined roles and responsibilities, ensuring easy access to key information, proactively communicating any organizational changes, and maybe conducting periodic communication audits can all help to dismantle these barriers.
So it's about building a communication-friendly framework within the organization itself.
Precisely.
Now that we understand what can go wrong, let's focus on how to get it right. What are the fundamental principles of effective communication?
Okay, principles. First, always have a clear purpose for your communication,
Purpose, got it.
and carefully consider the most appropriate time, place, and audience for your message. Sometimes, a brief, impactful statement accompanied by a visual aid like a diagram can be far more effective than a lengthy written explanation.
Knowing who you're talking to and tailoring your message to their needs and understanding, that's so important, isn't it?
Exactly. Secondly, your messages should be comprehensive.
Comprehensive.
Make sure to include all the essential information and provide clear, explicit guidance for any required actions, along with readily accessible links to any supplementary materials. Avoid leaving any room for ambiguity or unanswered questions.
Make it easy for people to not only understand, but also to act on the information. No guesswork.
Precisely. Clarity is another cornerstone
And
principle.
clarity again, yeah.
Your message should be easily understood by the intended recipient and should accurately reflect your intended meaning. Using active voice and explicitly stating key takeaways can significantly enhance clarity. And, as we discussed with cultural barriers, being mindful of diverse cultural and social norms is paramount.
Straightforward, unambiguous language is almost always the best approach.
Absolutely. Then there's attention and style.
Attention and style.
Yeah, recognizing that individuals have varying attention spans, communication preferences, and emotional states is key. Adapting your communication style, for instance, being more concise with someone who is time-pressed and choosing channels that align with your audience and your organization's values are essential.
One size definitely doesn't fit all when it comes to how people process information. That's true.
Exactly. Coherency is another vital principle.
Coherency.
Yeah.
Logical flow.
Yes, because communication often occurs across various platforms and formats. It's crucial to ensure that your message flows logically and remains consistent across all channels. Avoid contradictory statements and always ensure your communications align with your company's overarching values and objectives.
Everything should feel connected and reinforce the same core message. No mixed signals.
Precisely. And finally, timeliness and urgency.
Right time, right message.
Communicate your messages in a timely manner. Clearly differentiate between critical and non-critical information, and always be mindful of deadlines and expected response times.
Getting the right information to the right people at the crucial moment.
Okay. Exactly. Now, maybe let's delve into the different ways individuals communicate the various communication styles.
Oh, yes.
Understanding these can provide valuable insights into how to interact more effectively with others.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. What are some of the key communication styles we should be aware of?
Well, we can begin by looking at the spectrum of direct versus indirect communication.
Direct versus indirect.
Mhm.
Okay.
A direct style involves clearly and explicitly stating your thoughts and intentions. An indirect style relies more on subtle cues, implications, and context, which can sometimes lead to misunderstandings if the recipient doesn't pick up on those nuances.
So direct is being upfront and to the point, while indirect is more about reading between the lines, kind of.
Precisely. Then there's assertive communication, which represents a healthy middle ground.
Assertive. Okay.
It's about confidently expressing your own needs and opinions respectfully, without being aggressive or dismissive of others' perspectives.
Assertive, standing up for your own views while still valuing others. That sounds like the goal.
It often is, yes. On the other end of the spectrum is aggressive communication.
Aggressive.
This often involves prioritizing your own needs and viewpoints at the expense of others. It can come across as forceful, intimidating, and focus more on winning the argument than on the content of the message.
Aggressive, it's about dominance rather than dialogue. Got it.
Exactly. Passive communication, in contrast, is characterized by a tendency to avoid conflict, prioritize others' needs, and often suppress one's own opinions.
Passive.
While seemingly agreeable on the surface, it can lead to feelings of being overlooked and even resentment over time.
Pass is sort of going along with things to avoid any confrontation, even if you disagree.
Right. And then we have passive-aggressive communication,
The tricky one.
which is where individuals express their negative feelings indirectly, often through subtle sabotage, procrastination, or veiled sarcasm. It can be a particularly damaging style within teams.
Yeah.
For example, someone might agree to a task but then repeatedly miss deadlines without a clear explanation.
Passive-aggressive, the underlying resentment leaks out in indirect and often unhelpful ways.
Exactly. Manipulative communication involves skillfully influencing others for personal gain, often by exploiting their emotions, such as guilt or fear.
Manipulative, using emotional leverage to get what you want. Not great.
Precisely. And finally, the submissive style, where individuals consistently put others' needs before their own, often feeling apologetic or hesitant to express their own opinions, even when they are valid.
Submissive, consistently prioritizing others to your own detriment.
Yep.
Okay. So recognizing these different styles in others can be really helpful.
Definitely.
But how does our own dominant communication type influence how our message is perceived?
That's a critical insight. The resource highlights several communication types that reflect different overall approaches. There's the analytical type,
Analytical.
which emphasizes logic, facts, and clear, objective language, often minimizing emotional expression or small talk in professional settings.
Analytical, driven by data and rational arguments. Makes sense.
Exactly. Then we have the functional type.
Functional.
They value structure, organization, and clear processes. They often rely on written documentation and appreciate thoroughness and attention to detail in communication.
Functional, focused on process and ensuring everything is well documented. I know people like that.
Right. The intuitive type is more focused on the big picture, future possibilities, and overarching themes rather than minute details.
Intuitive.
They tend to be more abstract and visionary in their communication.
Intuitive, seeing the overall vision and making connections, less about the step-by-step.
Exactly. And finally, the personal type,
Personal.
which prioritizes building rapport and connecting with others on an individual level. They are often diplomatic, tactful, and highly sensitive to the tone and emotional undercurrents of communication.
Personal, valuing relationships and emotional connection in communication.
What's particularly insightful here is understanding how these different communication types might interact and potentially clash.
Ah, yeah.
For instance, an analytical communicator might become frustrated with a personal communicator who spends a lot of time on relationship building before getting to the point in a business discussion.
I can see that happen.
Recognizing these differences allows us to adapt our approach for more effective interactions and stronger working relationships.
So it's about flexing your style
Right.
to better connect with different people, not being rigid.
Exactly. Flexing is a good word for it.
Now let's talk about a skill that's fundamental to all effective communication. Active listening. It sounds straightforward, but in our constantly connected world, it's often a real challenge, isn't it?
Absolutely. In an environment saturated with notifications and distractions, truly focusing on a conversation has become increasingly difficult.
Tell me about it.
However, active listening is the bedrock of empathy and positive interpersonal dynamics. The resource outlines 3 distinct levels of listening: absent, partial, and full.
Absent. Okay, that's where you're physically present, but your mind is miles away, maybe scrolling through your phone or just lost in your own thoughts.
Exactly. It's characterized by multitasking and a complete lack of real engagement. Then there's partial listening,
Partial.
where you catch some of the words and get the general gist, but your attention is divided and you're not fully absorbing the details or nuances.
We've all been guilty of that, nodding along while only half listening, thinking about what we'll say next.
Indeed. And finally, full listening,
Full listening, the goal.
which involves giving the speaker your complete and undivided attention, maintaining eye contact, and actively working to understand their message, both verbal and nonverbal.
That's the ideal, isn't it? Truly being present and engaged in the conversation. What are some of the common obstacles that prevent us from listening fully?
Well, several barriers can impede active listening. Environmental distractions like background noise, physical distance, frequent interruptions can make it difficult to focus.
Uh-huh.
The speaker's style, such as speaking very rapidly or with a strong accent, can also present challenges.
True.
And then there are internal barriers, things
Yeah.
like a lack of interest in the topic, your mind wandering, preconceived notions about the speaker or the subject matter.
Judgments.
Yeah, and even our own emotional state at the time of the conversation.
Our own internal thoughts and feelings can definitely create a filter that distorts what we hear.
Absolutely. Preconceived judgments can make us defensive and resistant to truly hearing an alternative perspective. And our own past experiences or current mood can color how we interpret the speaker's message.
So what are some concrete steps we can take to become better active listeners?
Yeah.
How do we fight those barriers?
Okay, practical steps. First, consciously decide to pay attention.
Intentional focus.
Yes. Give the speaker your complete and undivided focus and demonstrate genuine interest. If you need a moment to mentally prepare, politely ask for it. Actively work to minimize internal and external distractions.
Being fully present in the moment. Easier said than done sometimes.
It takes practice. Secondly, make a conscious effort to withhold judgment.
Withhold judgment. Okay.
Be open-minded to the speaker's perspective and try to understand their viewpoint without immediately imposing your own opinions or interpretations. Patience is also crucial. Resist the urge to interrupt
Ooh, it's a hard one.
and allow the speaker the time they need to fully express their thoughts.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a strong opinion yourself, but so important.
Absolutely. Pay close attention to the speaker's nonverbal cues.
Nonverbals again.
Notice their body language, their facial expressions, any gestures they make. Maintain appropriate eye contact as it signals engagement and attentiveness.
Right.
And crucially, ask open-ended questions. Questions that encourage the speaker to elaborate and provide more detail, showing that you're truly interested in what they have to say.
Questions are such a powerful tool for demonstrating that you're listening and for clarifying your understanding, not just yes/no questions.
They are. Open-ended is key. And finally, actively rephrase or summarize what the other person has said to confirm your understanding.
Paraphrasing.
Exactly. This not only clarifies any potential misunderstandings for you, but also reassures the speaker that they have been heard accurately.
It's about creating that feedback loop and ensuring mutual comprehension. Makes sense. Now, another crucial skill in communication, particularly in professional settings, is the ability to give and receive constructive criticism effectively.
Yes. Feedback.
It can be uncomfortable, can it? But it's so vital for personal and professional growth.
Absolutely. Viewing criticism as a valuable opportunity for development rather than a personal attack is the first key.
Right.
Constructive criticism is feedback that is delivered in a supportive environment and offers specific, actionable recommendations for improvement. It's about fostering growth and development, not about simply pointing out flaws.
So what are the defining characteristics that set constructive criticism apart from the less helpful or even damaging kind? Destructive criticism.
Well, constructive criticism is typically delivered with empathy and a genuine desire to help the recipient improve.
Empathy.
It focuses on specific behaviors or situations and provides clear pathways for positive change. Destructive criticism, on the other hand, is often vague, negative in tone, and lacks any practical guidance for improvement. It tends to erode confidence and create defensiveness.
The intent behind the feedback really shapes its impact, doesn't it? Caring versus attacking.
Completely. What are the key advantages of offering constructive criticism effectively?
Good question.
It provides specific and timely feedback, which is invaluable for guiding improvement. It fosters growth by offering new perspectives and highlighting areas for development. And it builds trust
Trust again.
by demonstrating that you care about the other person's progress and are invested in their success.
It's about showing that you value their potential and want to support their development, not just tear them down.
Exactly. What are the essential elements that constructive criticism should include?
Yeah, how do you actually do it?
Okay, it needs to be specific. Offer concrete examples rather than general statements like, you need to do better.
Specific. Got it.
It should be timely, delivered as close to the event as possible for maximum impact, not weeks later.
Mine went.
It should have a positive and solution-oriented focus, emphasizing how to improve rather than just dwelling on the negative.
Solution-focused. Okay.
And it should be delivered with understanding, acknowledging the context, and offering support if needed.
Specific, timely, positive in its intent, and delivered with understanding. Those are helpful principles to keep in mind. In what situations is it most appropriate to offer constructive criticism?
Well, maybe when there has been a clear deviation from expected standards or guidelines, when a particular approach is demonstrably ineffective, or simply as a way to provide ongoing guidance and support for development, like in a performance review.
Okay.
The goal is always to help the individual understand what needs to change and how to achieve that change.
It's about guiding behavior and ensuring everyone is on the same page regarding expectations.
Yeah.
What are some effective strategies for delivering constructive criticism? Any specific techniques?
Yeah, one widely used technique is the sandwich method,
The feedback sandwich.
where you frame the area for improvement between two positive comments. Start positive, give the critique, end positive.
Okay.
Focus your feedback on the specific situation or behavior rather than making it personal. Use I statements.
You notice, not you always.
Exactly. I statements express your perspective and avoid sounding accusatory. Be precise in your feedback, offer concrete suggestions for improvement, and always be open to further dialogue and discussion. It's not a monologue.
Right, a conversation.
And importantly, avoid making assumptions about the other person's motives or intentions.
The sandwich method, starting positive, addressing improvement, ending positive.
Oh.
Okay? And when you're on the receiving end of constructive criticism, how should you best handle it? Because that can be tough too.
It can be very tough. First, take a moment to breathe. Try to avoid reacting defensively or emotionally in the moment.
Pause. Okay.
Make an effort to understand the giver's intentions, assume positive intent if possible. Listen actively without interrupting.
Active listening again.
Yes. And, crucially, thank them for taking the time and effort to provide feedback aimed at helping you grow, even if it stings a bit.
It's about maintaining an open mindset and recognizing the value in the feedback, even if it's initially difficult to hear. Good advice. Now, let's shift our focus to another crucial aspect of effective communication: empathy.
Empathy. Yes.
It's a term we hear a lot, but what does it really entail in practice? What does it look like?
Well, empathy goes beyond simply acknowledging someone's situation. It involves understanding their perspective, maybe actually feeling what they might be feeling, and communicating that understanding back to them. Our brains are wired for this connection, and it's fundamental for building strong relationships and communicating effectively. Research even suggests that empathic connections among colleagues can lead to higher levels of team performance.
So it's about connecting on a deeper emotional level, not just intellectually understanding.
Exactly. What are some of the key benefits of cultivating empathy in our communication? Why bother?
Good question.
The benefits are substantial. It contributes to improved coworker performance, a deeper understanding of both yourself and others, and enhanced awareness of nonverbal cues.
Okay.
It also fuels career and business growth by fostering trust and a better understanding of client needs. It aids in conflict resolution by facilitating win-win solutions.
Win-win.
Makes you more persuasive and motivating in your interactions, and ultimately broadens your understanding of diverse perspectives.
Empathy sounds like a real superpower for navigating interpersonal interactions.
It kind of is. What are some of the common barriers that hinder empathic communication? Why is it sometimes hard?
Yeah, what gets in the way?
Well, a primary barrier is simply a lack of developed empathy skills. Some individuals may not have learned or practiced the ability to truly understand and share the feelings of others.
Hmm.
Time constraints and a lack of focus in conversations can also impede empathy. If you're rushed, it's hard to be empathic.
Right.
Negative judgments, personal biases, and feelings of anger or resentment can all block our capacity for empathy, too.
Those internal obstacles, judgment, anger, can be challenging to overcome.
They really can. What are some practical ways we can actively develop our empathy and improve our empathic communication?
Okay, how do we get better at it?
Well, as we discussed earlier, actively listening, summarizing what you hear, and asking clarifying follow-up questions is foundational.
Listening first.
Yes. Make a conscious effort to understand different communication styles, taking into account the needs and preferences of both introverted and extroverted individuals.
Tailoring your approach.
Right. Regularly evaluate your own communication style and actively seek honest feedback from others. Practice mindfulness during difficult conversations.
Mindfulness, okay.
Paying attention not only to the words being said, but also to the underlying emotions. Reassure others that you understand their feelings, even if you don't necessarily agree with their viewpoint.
Acknowledging feelings.
Be willing to admit when you're wrong. Acknowledge the contributions of others. Use language that is familiar and accessible to them. Strive to remain calm in emotionally charged situations. And always look for common ground and shared values.
It's a deliberate effort to step outside of your own perspective and genuinely connect with the experiences of others. It takes work.
It does take conscious effort. Now, let's turn our attention to the often overlooked world of nonverbal communication.
Oh, body language and all that.
Our source indicates it plays a surprisingly large role in how we connect with each other.
How large?
That's absolutely right. Estimates suggest that over 80% of communication is nonverbal.
80%. That's a staggering amount.
It really is. It conveys a wealth of interpersonal and emotional information, often subconsciously. It can reinforce, contradict, or even completely replace spoken words.
Wow.
It's an instinctive form of communication that plays a crucial role in workplace efficiency, establishing trust and rapport, and demonstrating authenticity.
So what are the key types of nonverbal communication we should be mindful of? What falls under that 80%?
Well, body language, including facial expressions, gestures, posture, and movement, is a major category.
Okay.
Eye contact is huge. The use of personal space or proximity, how close you stand to someone, and even physical touch are also significant forms of nonverbal communication, each carrying its own cultural and contextual nuances.
Everything from a slight smile to the way you stand can send a powerful message without a word.
Exactly. How can we become more aware of and improve our own nonverbal communication skills?
Good question. How do we get better at the silent stuff?
Practice is essential. Try observing and maybe even mirroring the body language of others, subtly, of course, to better understand their nonverbal cues and to become more conscious of your own.
Mirroring. Interesting.
Pay close attention to your tone of voice as it conveys a wide range of emotions beyond the literal meaning of your words.
Tone, yeah.
Aim for comfortable and consistent eye contact, typically in short intervals, maybe 4 to 5 seconds. When you're unsure about someone's nonverbal signals, don't hesitate to ask clarifying questions.
Ask about it, okay.
Use nonverbal cues intentionally to add emphasis and meaning to your verbal communication. And always remember to consider the specific context and cultural interpretations of different nonverbal behaviors. What means one thing here might mean something else elsewhere.
Being more attuned to those silent signals can significantly enhance how our message is received and understood. Fascinating. Now, shifting our focus slightly, teamwork is obviously a cornerstone of many professional environments.
Absolutely.
And effective communication is the glue that holds it all together, right?
Absolutely. Communication can be either a major catalyst for success or a significant point of failure within a team. High-performing teams are built on a solid foundation of open and effective communication, characterized by clearly defined objectives, a willingness to share ideas openly, and a collective commitment to achieving shared goals.
So why is communication so utterly critical for a team to function effectively? What does it do for the team?
Well, it fosters healthy and collaborative working relationships among team members. It boosts overall engagement and a sense of well-being.
Engagement again.
It encourages innovation by creating a safe space for the free exchange of ideas. And it enhances transparency by ensuring everyone has access to the information they need. When team members communicate well, they feel more connected, valued, and aligned.
It creates that sense of shared ownership and mutual trust that's essential for any successful team. It sounds like the lifeblood.
It really is. How can teams proactively work to improve their communication skills? What can a team do?
Yeah, practical steps for teams.
Okay, establish clear and respectful processes for resolving conflicts quickly. Don't let things fester.
Address conflict, right.
Actively encourage participation and engagement from all team members by soliciting their ideas and providing support during meetings. Don't let just one or two people dominate.
Encourage everyone.
Promote bottom-up communication, ensuring that even junior team members feel comfortable sharing their perspectives, maybe a suggestion box, or just asking directly.
Bottom up, okay.
Strive for transparency in all aspects of information sharing. Ensure that leadership is communicative, sets clear expectations, and fosters a shared sense of purpose.
Leadership communication matters.
Hugely. Implement regular one-on-one meetings to check in on individual well-being and provide consistent feedback through both formal and informal channels, like anonymous surveys or open discussions.
Check-ins, good idea.
And finally, make an effort to understand the different communication styles prevalent within the team, like we discussed. Dominant, influencer, conscientious, steady, stable, and adapt communication strategies accordingly to maximize understanding and collaboration.
Recognizing and adapting to those diverse communication styles within a team seems crucial for fostering a harmonious and productive environment. Makes total sense.
Definitely.
And finally, let's touch on the art and power of storytelling and communication. This comes up a lot, particularly in fields like PR and marketing. But really in any context where you want to connect with an audience.
Storytelling is incredibly powerful because it resonates with audiences on an emotional level, making information more engaging and memorable.
Yeah.
Humans are naturally drawn to narratives, and well-crafted stories are a highly effective way to communicate core values, share experiences, build trust and credibility, and even influence and persuade.
We all connect with a compelling narrative, don't we?
Yeah.
What are the key elements that make a story truly effective in a communication context?
Often, a compelling story revolves around a central problem and its eventual solution.
Problem solution, okay.
Tapping into universal human emotions, joy, struggle, hope, keeping the narrative simple and relatable to the audience.
Relatable.
And clearly highlighting the impact or outcome of the story are all crucial elements. What changed? What was learned?
Making it resonate and leaving a lasting impression.
Yeah.
What are some practical tips for becoming a more effective storyteller in a professional setting?
Okay, tips for storytelling. First and foremost, truly understand your target audience.
Know your audience.
And tailor your narrative to their interests and perspectives. Ensure your stories are authentic and align with your core values or brand identity. Don't just make stuff up.
Authenticity, right.
Use relatable characters that your audience can connect with. Learn from successful storytelling examples, but strive to find your own unique voice and style. Don't just copy others.
Find your own voice.
And finally, be mindful of the specific communication channel you're using. Is it a presentation, an email, a social media post? And adapt your storytelling approach accordingly to maximize its impact.
So it's about crafting a narrative that not only captures attention, but also connects with your audience on a meaningful and authentic level. Powerful stuff.
Very powerful.
Well, we've certainly covered a vast landscape in this deep dive into the intricacies of effective communication. It's a lot.
We have indeed. And I guess to bring it all together, the key takeaway is that effective communication isn't just one thing. It's a multifaceted skill. It encompasses clarity in your message, the ability to actively listen to and understand others, the practice of empathy, and a conscious awareness of both your verbal and nonverbal cues.
It's the whole package. And by consciously applying these principles, you, our listener, can significantly strengthen your relationships, navigate conflicts with greater ease and understanding, and ultimately achieve greater success and fulfillment in both your professional and personal life.
Absolutely. Which brings us to maybe a final thought for you to consider. Reflect on which specific aspect of your own communication style you might want to develop further. Maybe it's active listening, maybe it's being more assertive, perhaps it's using empathy more consciously. Even small, intentional adjustments in how you communicate can lead to surprisingly significant positive changes in your daily interactions. Consider the profound impact of truly being heard and truly understanding those around you.